So there's a question here, how do we deal with children who are young and have tantrums? Then the term tantrum, I suppose you mean here that you tell them to do something and they refuse, and then you tell them to do it again and they shout or they scream or they cry and so on. Then upon the parent is to be patient first and foremost. And every parent knows how their children are. And children respond differently to different triggers, meaning from their parents. So you may have a daughter who, for example, doesn't throw tantrums and she doesn't scream. She will listen to you straight away. Or that you may have one child who may not listen to you and another child who also doesn't listen to you. But you deal with one differently to the other because one of them responds differently to the other. So it's a matter of really, tailoring your response to the children in that which fits them. And that takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes, looking at them. And looking at those things that they respond to. Some children respond, for example, to reward. Other children respond to punishment. So it just depends with each child what they respond to. And the whole idea of, this concept that children, that they have a tantrum and it's hard to control them, then actually, I don't believe that there is any child that cannot be controlled. Allahu a'lam. That our children in general, if not in totality, that as long as they are raised from the beginning to respect and to honor their parents, even begrudgingly, they will listen. As long as that tarbiyah begins at a very early age. So the key is early tarbiyah right from the very beginning. Don't wait till they're about 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you decide, well, actually, I've just figured out that they don't listen to me. Actually, that type of tarbiyah or that type of recognizing the character of your children should be very early on, right as young as 2 and 3. So they begin to understand from a very early age that mother and father are to be obeyed and they are to be listened to. And that is done, of course, in the very early years of the child through love and affection and play and drawing clear boundaries that they are not allowed to cross. So when they know from a very early age, even as young as 1 and 2, that there are boundaries that they are not supposed to cross. They are not supposed to scream, for example, in the supermarket because they want a particular sweet or a particular toy. That you let them know that this is unacceptable. Not that you give in, because when you give in, then they know that screaming and shouting equals reward. The more that I scream and shout, the more likelihood there is of me getting the toy or the sweet. So sometimes, as embarrassing as it may be, that you do not respond to the demands of children when they throw a tantrum. But rather, it is better that when they do something that is of value, such as they were kind to someone, or that they prayed, or that they did something of excellence and generosity, that you reward them from yourself without them even asking. So then they start drawing links between good behavior and reward. So I didn't ask for this toy, but I behaved in a good manner, and I received the toy anyway. And actually, every time I scream or I cry for something, I don't get a response. In fact, I'm refused. So then what they do is that they link the tantrum or the screaming or the crying and the hardship that they give to their mother and father, that they link that to no response. That this equals 0 response. I will not get what I ask for when I scream and shout and become obstinate. But however, if I behave well, without even me asking, I'm offered. So children are very good at drawing those links, just like the rest of us in reality. That if I behave in a certain way, I get. When I don't behave in a certain way, I don't get. And consistency is extremely important, that you are very consistent, that no means no. And screaming and shouting and crying and sulking will not change that. And they have to know that mom and dad, they are united and they will not change. So it's not that I'll go to mom and I'll get it as long as I scream and shout, but I know that if I go to dad, I will not get it, even if I scream and shout. There must be uniformity between the parents in their responses to their children.
Gotta be outside the box. Hard box.